Okay, now that we've gotten ourselves all worked up, ready to go out and change everything, maybe we need just a small dose of reality. So, I'm going to let this dose of reality speak for itself. Join me in welcoming Vanessa Gallegos, a superstar student from Gwinnett Central High School. Vanessa.
Hi. I go to Central Gwinnett High School, like he said. I'm a senior this year, and I am 17 years old. I basically want you to see me as a product of the American school system. I've been to 4 different elementary schools, 2 of which were in California, 1 of which was in Mexico for 3rd grade, and then I came to Georgia, where I've been ever since then. So let's get started. First of all, it's not all about the student. I've realized throughout my entire career in America that it's not just about you. You can't just go through life thinking, okay, it's about me learning, me getting ahead in life. You also have to see those around you. These past 4 years in high school, I used to see people that did community service and tutoring things and things like that, and I used to think, oh, that's really cool. But then when I got there, I realized that I don't want my life to be just about me. I want to create an environment in which I create leaders and I create other people who strive to do better. Students aren't cookies. What I mean by that is the cookie cutter system that's been addressed so much today, and how you can't just treat every student the same. I'm very much an organizational person. I like deadlines. I like to be told exactly what I need to do so I can do it, get it out of the way, and then go off and learn whatever I want to learn. So that's definitely something that's been addressed today that I didn't think would get as much talk. So I'm going to move on from that. Labels are sticky, too sticky. I remember the first test I failed was in 5th grade in a Georgia school, and it was the creativity portion of the gifted test. Yeah, I was identified gifted in California, and I went through a whole bunch of things, and I always considered myself one of those kids who was naturally talented, who could just do it because they could, because it was in them, because they were born that way. But recently I realized that it wasn't because of that at all. When I was little, my mom would make me take my math tests home, and she would look over them. She was a teacher in Mexico. And she would make me look over them, and she would always make me go back to the problems that I missed. And I would have to sit at my desk or wherever I was, and I would have to do them over 10 times each. So if I missed 5 problems, that was 50 problems that I had to work out over and over and over. And my mom was big on looking back at your mistakes, going back and embracing them, and doing them over and over until they were better, until you could get an understanding of what it was. Don't do what you can do. Go back and do what you can't do and make it better. So definitely the whole aspect of labeling students in the United States is something that really makes you reflect and makes you think, oh, well, maybe I'm not that smart. So for me, from 5th grade on, I just didn't consider myself that smart. And it wasn't until I got into high school that I finally got into the gifted program. Because in elementary school, you have 3 criteria. I passed the first test with a 97, the second test with a 99, and I failed the 3rd test, which was creativity, with a 70-something. And in high school, they add a 4th criteria, which you have to pass 3 out of 4. And that 4th criteria is teacher recommendation. Does that teacher think you are willing to work hard enough? Even though you might not pass one of those tests, are you willing to do the work to be in that gifted program? And if it wasn't for that last category, I don't think I would be where I'm at today. Any system is hackable, and we've been talking about how school is a system. It's just basically an intertwining of students and teachers and all these different aspects. And any system, I'm going to Stanford, just in case you didn't know that. I'm going to Stanford University in the fall, and I went for Admit Week, which is basically a very small type setting in which they try to sell the school. They really want you to go to Stanford, and I was already decided on going. So I snuck into a few seminars where I wasn't supposed to go, And I sat in and I listened to different lectures. And one of the things that really stuck with me was a presentation done by one of the professors there. And he said that any system, whether it's technological or environmental, is hackable. You can always change it, get in there, and alter it in any way that you want. And basically this entire day has been on how to improve the school system and how to change it. But I really want to give another perspective on that. One man's safety net is another man's hammock. Basically, when I was talking to some people about this speech and what I would say, we were talking about how I felt that the school systems build this safety, and parents build this safety net around students so much for so long that eventually they don't see it as a method of no child left behind. They see that as a hammock, a nice cozy thing to rest on when you're too tired to keep going. So I basically view that students should get help, but at a certain extent, you need to draw the line as to where it's your responsibility as a parent or a teacher or an administrator or a principal or a superintendent, and you have to step back and let the child go on their way, or the teenager or whatnot. There is no entertain and teach. This is something I want to elaborate a little bit more on because it's something that's really been impacting school systems in the past year. Basically this year, as a senior, there's something that we get called senioritis. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's this syndrome in which you suffer from severe lack of motivation. And I really never thought it was true. I always thought it was just kids being bums. And what I really realized this year is so many of my friends have been saying, oh, well, I already got into UGA or Tech or Yale, and I don't want to do this anymore. But they don't say that straightforward. They say, oh, well, this class is boring. This teacher isn't entertaining me. And what I think is it's not really the teacher's job to stand up there and make a show out of it. It's the teacher's job to teach to you and learn from you, but not necessarily to stand there and make it engaging, because sometimes in life things are boring, and they're going to be boring, and you have to get through them. Without effort, talent is wasted, which really goes back to that story about me doing math over and over and over again. And I used to really resent my mom for that. I was very upset about it, but I realize now that if it hadn't been for the things that she made me do, and for the teachers that I've had in math and social studies and all these other aspects that didn't make it easy, that didn't just make it about, okay, you're smart, you can memorize things. They made it about, are you willing to do that project? Are you willing to read that extra book that is completely boring? Are you willing to take that test or retake it again if you want to? So definitely, without that effort, talent is useless in life. Nothing like a deadline. This could be one of two ways. Like I said before, I'm very organized and structural, and I like that deadline. I'm not a big fan of teachers that will set a deadline in December, and I will schedule my life around that deadline, that big project that's worth 10 or 15% of your grade. And then last minute they decide, you know what, I'll give you a break. It's due in January. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. I like it to be due in December when I was promised it would be due, because I already scheduled everything around that. So it depends on that's one of the things that I like about school. It's not predictable. You have to learn from your teachers as much as your teachers have to learn from you. They know which classes cooperate. They know which classes they can just pop a movie in and sit back and relax. And I know it's a sad thing to say, but it's true. And many students know that when you have that deadline, sometimes you can work around it and manipulate teachers, or teachers know that some students will do it and turn it in with or without that deadline. Competition is a great thing. Definitely one of the best things I've had in the United States is competition. I've had kids who want to be number one, who want to be the top students. And so far today, I was going to talk about how I wanted to change the school system, but I feel like that's what it's been about for every single speaker. And I just really want to show that, yes, the education system is flawed, but it has so many aspects that we can learn from and improve and get to great things that, yeah, we can change it, but let's not do it all at once. For example, this year in Gwinnett County, I found out, I was on the Student Advisory Council with Ms. Kathy Cox, and I found out that every student in the state of Georgia will now be required to graduate with a college prep diploma. There's no longer technical or special diplomas. They need to graduate with a college prep diploma. So from now on, every student in the state of Georgia who graduates from high school will be expected to be college bound, which I didn't think sounded reasonable for many reasons. All the tests we have to pass are so structured and so standardized that kids in my classes view them as a joke. They view them as, okay, we have to pass the writing test, big woo. And then kids in lower classes think, oh my goodness, if I don't pass this writing test, I'm not going to graduate. I'm not going to get a good job because I won't have that GED or that high school diploma. And for this system to be so inflexible and taking away that gifted label that you don't deserve anymore because you didn't put up the effort, or just simply being able to move around and work around kids and accommodate needs, but not necessarily be flexible to the point where you're a hammock. And that's definitely something about the United States and the school systems that I would like to change, but I don't have the answers. I really have no idea. I can only tell you my perspective because I've been through this, but it's a complicated thing. And one of the most important things I learned throughout my entire experience in the United States was leadership is everything. And I don't mean leadership in the sense that, okay, I'm going to stand in front of a crowd and tell them what to do and how to change it and how to fix it. But leadership as in having the bravery to stand up here and say, yeah, it's flawed, but I got through it, and so can everybody else. So definitely leadership and knowing yourself and knowing others is one of the biggest things that has influenced my life. And I'd like to thank all of you for your attention. I'm done. Thank you.